Molcas. Welcome to Compartiendo Mitote
From the land of enchantment with
Lupita
and Adilene.
Welcome, everyone. We would like to introduce ourselves to our audience. As you guys know, before it used to be 3 hosts. Unfortunately, it has been reduced to 2, Adilene and I. Adriana is not longer able to continue with us, and the doors are always open to welcome her back in. When you want to return, Adriana,
just let us know.
Alrighty, and with this being said, let's go ahead and get started. So we do want to share our backgrounds with you guys.
Okay, so my name is Adilene. I like to go by Adi. I am 27 years old. I was born and raised here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I have a daughter. My highest level of education, I got my bachelor's in criminology and Spanish, and I enjoy watching drama and crime series on Netflix.
Yay! Okay, my name is Lupita. I am 31 years old. I was born in Chihuahua, Mexico. Mexicana. I have a teenage son and a daughter. I graduated high school, and I enjoy bike riding, especially during sunsets. I like to exercise. I like nature. I like music, fashion, makeup, skincare, home decor, and organize stuff. I love that. Okie dokie. Well, welcome everybody who is new here to our channel. This is going to be our first podcast. Aren't you excited?
A little bit. This is our second time around, so it's a little bit easier, but we're still kind of nervous, so bear with us.
Yes, we are new to all these social media cameras and all these platforms out here. It's the first time we're coming out. Alrighty. Well, with this being said, I guess we could get started on how we met, So back into 2020, November of 2020, so I had applied for the position at a pediatric clinic of front desk. I was really excited. I was ambitious to learn. I wanted to do something different than what I had done before, which was I had been in the food industry for a while, and I wanted to change it out. I wanted to try the administrative work, see if I could do it. I wanted to prove myself that I can do it. We all, sometimes it's hard to change from one specific job that you've been doing for a while, and then to another industry, like Adilene was saying, until you interrupted her. Yeah. So at that time, I decided to apply here to this pediatric clinic. When I decided to apply, this clinic has a very special place in my heart, as this was the clinic it was the first clinic I knew whenever I moved here to the United States. It was the first clinic where I celebrated my first birthday whenever I was here in the United States. They have a very special place in my heart, like I said. And for that reason, since I remember when I was on the other side being a patient, how the social workers, the doctors, the staff would treat their patients, I wanted to do that for my community. So I applied there. And I remember that whenever they called me for the first interview, I had never been interviewed that way. Because you have to admit, Adilene, with me, that it's kind of an intimidating interview.
Yes. Very intimidating.
Yes, because whenever you go in there, you go and with me, if I remember more than likely, it was like 6 different staff members there interviewing me. And I was like, oh my God, what are they going to ask me? Why is there so many people? And I was a little bit shy, my words, I couldn't get them out. I was like, oh my God. And that passed. My first interview passed, and I remember because I was gonna work that evening, and I remember I was getting ready for work, and then I got the second call, and I was like, oh my God, I passed to the second interview, because not less that they only do 1 interview, they do 2. And the second interview, they add you more people in there. And on the second interview, whenever they called me, I was like, I can't remember how many persons were in there, but there was like quite of a few. There was one social worker there, which had been my social worker as a patient back in the day. I was like, oh my God, well, at least she's here, so I know her. So I would feel more confident. I would be like, oh yes, like, okay, at least I know someone. And okay, so that second interview passed, and then I got the call. I remember like an hour later after the interview, I got the call and I was getting here home. And then I was like walking up the stairs when I got the call. And I remember if I would have my camera footage, I would have had showed you my outside of the cameras outside of my house. I was jumping up the stairs. I was so happy. I was excited. I was like, oh yes, they called me. I made it. Oh yeah. So I was ready to learn. I wanted to learn, and besides that, I was coming out of a food industry. I was going into a medical industry, which I hadn't gone before. I mean, I was scared of the medical terms, and maybe I was like, well, like the doctors, like I'm not gonna understand whenever they tell me or patients tell me like, oh, it's because I need this medication, and they have this long names, and I was like, oh my God, I was scared. But everyone in the clinic, I mean, they were really helpful. They were really welcoming. They helped me when I wouldn't understand something. They teach me, and I thank them. Muchas gracias. And that was how I basically got in there.
I, on the other hand, I had a sister-in-law who used to work there, and she told me that they were hiring, and she knew that I was looking for another job. I used to work in an insurance company. It's very stressful. You had to meet, not a quota, but you had to sell every day. So our managers were called, what have you done to try to sell a policy? Have you sold anything yet? And I was so stressed. So I started thinking of changing to something else. And my sister-in-law told me about this job as a clerk in this pediatric clinic. And I applied, and I got called for the interview as well. Again, like Lupita mentioned, it was so scary. 7 people staring at you, asking you questions. Now that I know, there was therapists, social workers, doctors, the director of the clinic. And it was so intimidating because usually in every traditional job that I have had, it's only one person that interviews you, not 7 people. And then they're all writing stuff, so you don't even know what they're writing as you're talking and answering questions. And yeah, me too. I went in there and then I couldn't find the place, so I parked like across the street and I didn't even know where I was at. It was, I don't know, the GPS took me to a wrong spot, so now I get patients wait. Sometimes they can't find it, but on the other hand, I also got called for the second interview, and I was like, again, another interview? Wow, like, I don't know, like, again? And then they asked me the same questions once again, and I was like, what am I going to answer? Like, I have nothing new to say. I'm just going to say everything I had already told them again, and we'll see what happens. And then they also called me. They're like, you're hired, and yeah, I started working there. Lupita actually trained me. I helped a lot by her just pointing at the computer, like, honestly, that helped me so much. I know it's kind of weird and it's really simple to just point, but that really helped me. Thank you, Lupita.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime. Well, yeah, that's basically how we met. And when we, because I started working there in November of 2020, back in the middle of the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, when you couldn't go to places, you had to wear your face mask. And at that time, I mean, it was a little bit of a struggle because whenever you would go to places, there was like restrictions and certain things that you needed to follow at that time. I mean, now we don't use face masks. I mean, but back then we did use face masks. And then whenever Adilene got into the team, that was in November of 2021, so a year later. So on that year, like November 2021, that's when you got there, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh. Okay. So on that time, we were still wearing our face mask, and all the safety things would continue throughout that time. Like Adilene said, what did you said? Well, we're 4 clerks in there. Yeah. So this is 2, and we have another 2, Adriana and Dawn. Hi, Dawn. So whenever we got Adilene, I believe that our, like, the flow that the 4 of us would get together changed. Do you feel like it changed?
Yeah. At the beginning, we were all quiet. We wouldn't really talk to each other. I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you try to converse, like talk to people to get to know them so they can start telling you more
Breaking
stuff.
that ice?
Yeah, breaking the ice. But it took us a while. I don't even remember exactly, like, if it took, like, 6 months, 3 months. I'm not even sure.
I can't remember how long it took us, but I can tell you that whenever I started working there back in 2020, from that time until Dilene got there, like, we would listen to the radio and music, and we would have, like, little conversations, but we wouldn't have what we have now. So I remember after Adilene applied, and then a couple of months passed. I can remember, like Adilene said, it might be 1, 2, or 3. I can remember.
I can't remember either.
But things started to change in that office. Like, you could tell that our flow, like, just how the four of us would work together, how, like, we started being positive, and we started looking out after each other,
Helping each other. If someone forgot to do something, okay, I got it, I can do it.
Yes, having the back of our coworkers, of our team. And everything started to change up until I would say that we would have a little radio that we would put on the radio stations. And I remember that one of those times Adelena was like, oh my God, I need some música hispana, música latina. And I remember that it was like whenever she started putting Latin music. Then after a while, we upgraded. We got a little bocinita there. We have it. And we got connected to Bluetooth.
Because if you listen to radio, they repeat every day, like a certain time, they repeat the whole thing again. And it's the same songs over and over and over again. And they get tiring.
Yes. And we would have, like, we have the music. It's not like it's low, of course, to hear the patients and what's going on around the clinic. But we do have music there to help the flow of the day.
To motivate us.
Yes. And back on that time is whenever we started listening to Latin music. And I remember that at first it was like, okay, like we would give it a try, no? Here and there, and give it a try and here and there. Because, I mean, the four of us would connect at different times or different days. Like, we would all rotate. And whoever was connected would put whatever music they would feeling like or would like to listen. And back whenever we started connecting, at that time, like, it started breaking more of the ice. Don't you feel like that? Or is it just me?
No, yeah, I did. And then we gave us our space. Like, even though maybe we didn't like the same music, we would still listen to it and we wouldn't complain or nothing. You can hear whatever you want to hear.
Yes, as long as there was music, as long as there was something in there. So a rhythm, something that would bring us joy. And, well, that happened. So little by little, like, after time up to now, what we mainly listen to is Latin music all the time. All days, Karin Leon has been on on her days. Grupo Firme. I don't know. I could go on and on and on and on. So many. And at that point, as well as like the music, like started to change. Because whenever we would get staff members that would come to the front because they were going to make copies or do their work, whatever they need to do. I remember that there was different staff members that some of them would dance, some of them would sing, and they would get on a good mood. They would get happy, and I was like, oh, nice. So after, like, it started to break a little bit more and more and more the ice. Then we have this board that we have on like the part of the office, and I started I got in charge of that.
She's like a teacher. I tell her she should have been a kindergarten teacher or something like that, because she would give us homework to color certain pages. Like, it's Easter, let's color a bunny or an Easter egg, or it's, what else did we color?
Well, we did the pumpkins for Halloween. What else did we do? Did we do something for Christmas? I don't remember, but I think we did something.
Was it like a gift or I don't remember?
Whenever we were removing the vision board. So whenever I was taking down that vision board, it felt so good to see how the girls were like, I accomplished this. I was able to do this. I was able to meal prep. I was able to exercise. I was able to eat healthier. I mean, it felt so good to see their smile, to see their satisfaction. Like, they were excited. They had done it. Like, they had gone out of debt. They were saving more. That's really good to see other women, do what they had in mind, like met their goals. See that it's possible, and that we were being part of each other's life, but by sharing by sharing each other.
And motivating us. And I think it really helped too, just to see what you want in life. I don't know, like that, seeing that we would have to pass through there and see it every day. So I think it kind of did help. We left it for a few months, not too long.
Yeah, I left it for a couple of times. And it helped a lot. And with this being said, we want to share with you guys how we decided to build a podcast. So whenever, one of those times that we were turned and on our shares and we were echando el mitote, talking. Dawn, our coworker, shout out. Dawn, bravo. She was like, you guys have the ability to gap. You guys should just make your own podcast. And we're like, should we?
She put that doubt in our mind. And honestly, we used to think, we would say this like, claim, maybe we should make a podcast, but we would joke about it. And look at us now. We're actually here. We're actually
here
trying.
We are trying ourselves, putting ourselves to the fire. Here we are.
Here we go.
Here we go. But it was, we were, at that time, we were like, oh my God, like, should we not? But we got so excited with the idea. And we started to like, I don't know, I remember we were like, nos reíamos, like we were happy. And we were like, yeah, see, I'm down. And I was like, yes, I'm down. And little by little, I was like, okay. And then another coworker was like, okay, you guys want a notebook? And we were like, yes, sí queremos uno. We want a notebook. And then she saw like, you want the little one or the big one? Or like, no, we want the big one. And she gave us our big notebook. And I remember that day we started right away writing down topics that we wanted to share. I mean, we ended up with, oh my God, quite of a few.
A lot.
Yes.
We've already had like 2 years or more or less. And imagine all the things we have talked. And honestly, most of the things we've talked about, we wrote on there.
Yes.
So it's a lot.
It's a lot. I remember whenever we were writing down, it was already 60 topics that we wanted to go, like, share. And we're like, oh my God, like, we have a lot of topics. Like,
we can do this.
We can do it. And I remember that we started looking into opening up social medias, building a logo,
a name, getting the equipment that we needed. Looking at YouTube or anywhere which would recommend anything like microphones or what we needed to record, what we needed to do the video.
Yes, because it takes so much, not just like equipment, like it takes so much work to put in a podcast. And I remember that we were like, oh my God, like this microphone, well, they say this is good, or no, they say this one's better. And we started researching from equipment through like what we eventually wanted to do, through like edit and look through apps and all these things, because I'm not very technology friendly. I have never ever been a very technology freak. And I was like, oh my God, like there's all these things that we have to do.
And then being consistent, doing TikToks, creating content, it's hard. It's not easy as it looks.
No, it takes a lot of work. I mean, and at first we thought it was like, oh no,
we got this. It's easy. We can do it in 5 minutes. So we were wrong.
We can do it. And there we went to our first photo shoot. So there we are, the influencers. We went through our first photo shoot. And oh my gosh, it took us 3 hours to just to get the pictures. We could not get a single TikTok, not a single one. Not one. No sacamos ni uno.
No. And we tried doing one that was trending, the one with the colesterol de los vendavales dancing. And it was bad.
It didn't work.
One going that way, one going this way, one going that way.
Yes, it was like, oh my God, like we can get it together. And it looks so easy whenever you see them, like on your phone,
TikTok.
whenever you're scrolling down and you see them, it's like, oh, no, sí podemos, como no,
easy.
it's easy, whatever. No, it was not.
It's not.
It was a struggle. I remember because my husband had dropped me off and he picked me up and he's like, oh my God, like it took you 3 hours. Wow, you must have gotten so much content. And I was like, honey, you don't even know. I got zero TikToks. Let me tell you, zero TikToks, nothing. Like,
Not to mention what happened with the pictures too.
Oh, that was another.
I added a filter or a portrait. I think I put it as portrait. And when Lupita had sent the pictures, they were all blurry. I was like, 3 hours, all of our work to the trash. Like, really?
We're not going to be able to use that.
We're going to have to retake them and do them all over again. Another 3 hours, again, another day.
Yes. But thank God.
Lupita came to the rescue.
Found a way to remove that and we were fine. We were able to use those pictures. If you have seen them on our social medias, please give a little like to them. They have so much work.
Yes.
Yes,
Definitely.
and dedication. But eventually, like after that, we were like, oh my God, like it's gonna take us a while, you know. And whenever because we had already filmed our first episode, and like we said at the beginning, it was gonna be 3 of us. Unfortunately, it has reduced to 2, and we had it for that reason. We had to do a retake of episode 1. Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, like here we go again, you know. But I think it's better because it gave us a little bit more of an idea of what we wanted to do.
How we act, how we talk, how we express ourselves, what do we need. Oh, we'll do another video more or less of what happened the first time and what we learned as we go, because we keep learning as we go. Every minute, every hour, we're learning something new.
Yes, it's a learning in process. I mean, it takes so much to see, to create an episode, a podcast, or a blog, or all these things that you see on social media. It takes so much work. But
it has also taught us a lot. We're learning to be more confident. We're learning how to speak on a mic. We're getting a little bit more comfortable talking in front of a camera, something we never thought we would do or that we've done ever. And it's scary, but you feel good. But I don't know how to explain.
Like, actually, now that we've been doing this, it's actually really fun.
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's really exciting. It's fun to create things. It's fun to show yourself who you are. You know, because we're not trying to pretend to be no one. This is who we are.
And it's something you look forward to doing. It's something interesting out of work that we can do. Right now, honestly, if I were not here, I would probably be watching TV right now. Not productive,
I would be at the gym probably right now.
So we're doing something very productive.
But we're doing something out of our comfort zone.
Yes.
And that's really nice. And es algo de aplaudir because, you're getting out of your comfort zone. You're coming out and talking to a camera. You're coming out and talking on a microphone. You're coming out and doing all these things. I mean, I'm really proud of us, Aline.
Me too. Honestly. I mean, we haven't heard any comments yet or anything, but again, we haven't posted anything, but we're open to constructive criticism. Yes. Please help us if there's any feedback, anything you guys want to listen to, anything that we can do better. Please let us know.
Yes, and please share if you have any tips on how to edit, on how to do things. Please share with us. We're open. We want to learn. And I believe now that we should actually share with you guys how we built our name. Yes, because this name has a history.
And it's all in that same clinic that we met.
Yes,
as well.
yes. Because back to whenever one time that we were talking, so we turned our chairs and we started talking, and I remember I don't know what topic we were talking about, but we were laughing. And then a female provider comes to the front. She was going to do something there in the front, and then she's all like, what are you mitoteras doing, no? Isn't that what she said?
Yep.
Yes. I couldn't remember for this, like, I could not remember her exact words. But Adilene, thank God, she's like, no, she said, ¿qué están haciendo mitoteras? Or what are you mitoteras doing?
Yeah, and we started laughing. We're like, nosotras mitoteras chismosas? What? I think the whole clinic thinks we're like that, but trust me, we don't talk about anyone. We talk about our personal stuff and our stories.
Yes, we talk about our lives, not nobody else. We don't like to go criticizing and saying things about people. We don't like to be pointing at you. Because whenever we are pointing at someone, you have 3 fingers looking at you. So we don't like to go out and talk about other persons, but we like to have conversations about our life, our own personal life. And at that time, I think we were surprised to
we're
think
like,
that
what? What
a
do they think of
provider
us?
like come and say mitoteras. I was like, oh my God, like what do they think about us?
They probably think we never work, but trust me, we work a lot. We do our work first, and then we talk since we have free time, but they probably think that we don't do nothing. But we
don't
do
work.
because they always, every time they're coming, we're laughing or we're talking.
Yes.
It's good to go. I mean, to have that type of environment at work. I believe so. You go happy to work. You're not going like, oh my God, another day at work.
Yeah. You go excited. You go looking up to, oh, like, a ver qué pasa, you know?
Or to tell you guys something. Oh, like, guys, this is what happened this weekend. Or this is what I want to do. Or this, whatever is happening in our life.
Yeah. Or I want to do this. Like, you have any advice? And sometimes like, no, I have done this. Maybe try this. Or go little by little. Or things to motivate each other. Not to put ourselves down, but to motivate us to do better.
Yeah.
Yes, and at that time, whenever she said that, I don't know. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, she said, ¿qué estamos haciendo de mitoteras? So, well, yeah, we continued. So we were like, no, like whenever we had the idea of a podcast, we're like, we want mitoteras.
We need to include that in our name or somewhere.
In our name. Like, we're not getting rid of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, pero mitote means like chisme. And we're like, it's okay. We want it. It's who we are. Like, at the end, like, that's how she described us, you know? So we're like, no, we want that name. Like, we want to have that included in our podcast. And we started brainstorming ideas of what we wanted to have as a name. I remember, because you were the one that came up with Compartiendo.
Yes, because at first we wanted to do, it was 3 of us, so we're like, maybe we should put like trio de mitoteras or something like that, but then we're like, no, they're gonna think something else. No, scratch that. So let's think something else. And I don't know how, Lupita says that we said something about sharing, so we started looking for synonyms for sharing.
Because I remember that there was another word for sharing in Spanish, and we started looking for like words that would go on that. Synonyms. Yes, and then we were like, oh, and then you came up compartiendo mitote, and we were like, oh yes, I like that. Yeah. Yes, and that's how our name built.
And we Googled it just to make sure no one else had it already taken or something, and no, it seems like it didn't. No one had it, so we're like, okay, we got the green light. Let's turn it.
How we got the idea of using the word Molcas into Compartiendo Mitote, because la pionera de Molcas here that uses this word is Adilene. She is the person that would always use Molcas. Molcas this, Molcas that, Molcas, and for every single time. And I think it took us quite a while to ask her
what it meant.
What does it mean?
I would use it often, and they'd never asked.
Yes, because you would always say molcas for everything.
So I got that that slang word molcas from my mom. She used to use it a lot at her work, and she used it so much that it rubbed up on me too. Ya ven que dicen que las malas mañas se pegan muy fácil. So I started using it, and I would even refer to ourselves like molcas, like, oye, es molcas esto, and more or less you know who we were talking about, but molcas means you know who in English. Without saying someone's name, you use the word molcas.
Yes.
Yeah, so we started using it a lot, and we wanted to incorporate it because it's part of us, what we use and what we say in the clinic. So we wanted to include it on our podcast, and we're like, maybe that's how we should start it. Like, hey, molcas.
Yes, and I mean, we wanted our podcast to be unique. Like, we wanted to share who we are, just las personas que somos, not to appear to be someone else we're not. We wanted to share who we are. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to be unique. We wanted to be original. We wanted to be us.
Yes.
Yes. And then we were like, no, we're going to use the word molcas as well. Yeah. So that's why we start with hola molcas, which is saying hi to everyone. Mm-hmm. Yes. And after, I don't know, Delene, after like always having you, like hearing you all the time say molcas and molcas and molcas, like se te pega. Mm-hmm. Yes. Now I even use it.
I don't know if you remember, but remember back then people used to use no pues wow.
Yes.
Like everyone was, it's like malas mañas que se pegan.
Se te pegan las palabras. Sí. I mean, words just stick with you sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that's basically how we added the word molcas to the podcast. And on this podcast, we want to talk about topics that would connect with the persons, with the audience, with all you listening to us. Mm-hmm. But we want to bring topics as to self-care, relations, family,
age stages, self-care, and many, many more. And these are some of the topics that we would talk to each other at the clinic when we would have our talks. And it's something everyone can relate with.
Yes, like after we would have our talks there in the clinic, it also showed us how like we could relate to other persons, to the doctors, to nurses, to the director, with the behavioral team. Mm-hmm. It showed us how we can, like, todos somos iguales, like we're all the same persons. It doesn't matter what title you have. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want to come here on this platform and share with you guys.
Mm-hmm. Like at the end, we're all human. We all have problems. We all have issues with ourselves. We all try to work on ourselves as well, and it helps a lot.
Yes. And we are open to any criticism, constructive criticism.
Yes, any feedback you guys have, anything you want us to touch on, anything like to talk about, anything you think we can do better, again, just let us know in the comments and we'll try to accommodate.
Yes. So please make sure you like, follow, share, and subscribe, and leave us all your feedback. And we hope to see you on episode number 2 on Compartiendo Mitote. So stay tuned.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Molcas.